and welcome to part 2 of Cupcake Addiction's Angry Bird Cake Pop tutorial, where I'll be showing you how to make the yellow bird and the pig out of our Angry Birds series. The red bird and the blue bird are already on our channel. Tools and equipment that I will be using today. I have some pre-rolled, pre-made cake pop balls. We've got a great recipe and tutorial for how to get your cake pop balls to this exact consistency, so feel free to check that out if you don't have a good recipe. I will mention they've been refrigerated for about 15 minutes so they're nice and firm. I've got quite a sharp knife with quite a nice sharp blade on it. I've got a couple of Lollypop Sticks, a little bit of white fondant. I've got a fondant roller, but a regular rolling pin will also do. I've got some white chocolate that I've coloured yellow just using some Wilton Lemon Yellow gel paste, and some white chocolate that I've coloured green just using some Wilton Leaf Green gel paste. A little bit of dark chocolate. I've got a yellow fruit chew or a piece of yellow taffy. You can also use yellow fondant, and I've microwaved that for about 10 seconds to get it nice and soft and pliable. I've got a piece of black soft eating licorice. It's a nice round shape, so if you're going to buy licorice, try and get a round shape one, otherwise you can also use black fondant. I've got 3 regular sized M&Ms. I've got a circular cookie cutter. This one's a 4 centimetre or 1.5 inch cookie cutter. A little bit of soft caramel fudge, some cocktail sticks or toothpicks, and I've just got a little bit of cornflour in a shaker there to prepare the surface when we roll out our fondant. Let's get started. Firstly, I've got one of my cake pop balls, which as I mentioned has been refrigerated, but I just wanted to show you how I got that triangle shape. We had just the regular cake pop ball, so you roll that so you've got your nice lovely shape, and then I'm just going to rock it in the palm of my hand. So I'm just rocking it, and because he's a little bit flatter, I'm going to flatten him off. So that's how I got, you can whack it down on the table a little bit to get a nice flat bottom on it, but that's how I got that lovely triangular shape for our yellow angry bird. As I mentioned, I've got one here that I prepared earlier that is quite firm after being in the refrigerator for 5 minutes. So we're going to pop the stick into him first, dipping our lollipop stick into that white or that yellow chocolate and just inserting it into the bottom of our triangular cake pop. And for the other one, our little pig, we're going to do the same with the green. Just taking that green chocolate and just inserting it into the base of the cake pop ball. Now for the pig, we also want to add a nose and some ears for him while that cake pop's still in its ball form. So I'm going to add quite a generous blob of the green melted chocolate on the front. We're going to use that to adhere the M&M, but the reason I'm using so much is because you really want the M&M to kind of stick up off his face a little bit to give it that nice pronounced piggy nose. So I'm just going to sit that there. See what I mean about it sticking out a little bit? So it gives you quite a nice protruding piggy nose. And then I'm going to take my sharp knife and I just want to kick out a little bit of cake pop on each side. So you're just making just a really little indent there. And we're going to dip those other 2 M&Ms into that green chocolate, slide them into that hole. And again with the other one. So you've got almost like a little teddy bear. Now these 2 are going to go into the refrigerator for about 5 or 10 minutes, just until all that chocolate's lovely and set. Alright, while those ones are refrigerating, we're going to make some of our angry bird and pig accessories. So I'm going to take that yellow taffy or fondant or whatever it is that you're using, and I'm just going to make the beak of our yellow bird and also the crown of our pig. So for the beak, I'm just ripping off just a little bit, depending on how big you want your beak to be. And I'm just going to form that into, I guess, just a bit of a triangle, bit of a beaky shape. And then to give it a little bit more of a beak look, I'm just going to run that knife. You should have something that looks like this. There's our beak. Taffy's quite a bit harder to work with than fondant, so fondant is certainly easier, but perhaps not something that everybody's got at home in all these different colours, and maybe you don't like the taste. Alright, now for this one, you'll see I'm just kneading it there between my fingers, just makes it a little bit more pliable. So I'm just going to flatten that down into a bit of a disc, and then I'm going to cut a crown shape out. So don't worry too much about the bottom because it's going to be in the melted chocolate. Now for the eyes, we'll make the yellow bird's eyes. So I'm just going to take the end and I'm just going to slice off just a nice thin piece of black licorice or black fondant if that's what you're using. And I'm going to cut it at about 2/3. So I'm cutting about 1/3 of it away and getting rid of that. We're going to keep the other 2/3. To do the same, I like to take it from each end. If you take it from each end, you get the nice shiny side, which is the end of your piece of licorice. So once again, taking that 1/3 away, leaving 2/3 there. And we're also going to make the little stalk for the top of his head. So for the little stalk, I just cut a nice little chunk. With soft eating licorice, it's quite pliable, so you can kind of stretch it out with your fingers and mould it almost like taffy. And then I'm just going to cut out a bit of a stalk shape for the top of his head. So kind of just like I guess a big triangle or a big piece of pie. Now moving on to his eyebrows, we're just going to take some of that lovely soft fudge, about a pea-sized piece, pull it in half so you've got two nice even-sized pieces, roll it into a ball, and then with the tip of your finger just down into a teardrop, there's one, roll it into a ball, and rocking one side into a teardrop. It's going to make our nice two eyebrows. A little bit of fondant will make both Piggy's eyes and also our bird's eyes. Alright, so with our fondant, just kneading it a little bit. Now once again, because I want those eyes to be about the same size for the pig, I'm going to take one piece of fondant, roll it into a ball, split that ball in half. I just find this is the easiest way to get two even-sized, or roughly even-sized, sometimes it doesn't quite work out, but balls. I'm just going to push them down between my finger, and that's going to make the pig's eyes. There's one, and there's the other one. Beautiful. Now for our yellow bird, he just needs one. Push it out into a nice circle and then cut it in half because he's rocking half an eye there. Alright, all of our bits and pieces are sitting over there. Now also for our yellow one, he needs a little bit of a breast piece. This is where our shaker comes in, so just a little bit of cornflour down on your surface just to stop it from sticking too much. Alright, we've got our rolled out piece of fondant, so I'm just going to take that circle cutter, cut a nice little circle. Now from that circle, it's a bit of a different shape, this one, so I'm just going to cut off like I guess a crescent moon off the circle, so you've got more of an ovally type shape. Then from the back of it, we just want to cut out a little wedge so that the lollipop stick has somewhere to go. So that's most of our accessories done. Just go and get our cake pops out of the fridge. So our cake pops have come out of the fridge, our lovely chocolate seals are all beautiful and set, and it's time to get dipping. The yellow bird first, take him out, roll him around until that chocolate meets up with that lovely chocolate seal, and just tap off the excess. Okay, so when you're happy that there's no longer any excess chocolate dripping off, take your, I don't really know what it is, I guess it's his little crest, and just slide it into the chocolate. And then we want to take this breast piece, just want to position those eyes up so they're really meeting up with those angry eyebrows. Perfect. There's yellow ready to go. As I mentioned, you can just go along the edge there and just push that edge down a little bit. There's our yellow guy. Let's move on to the pig. Alright, now for the pig it's much the same process. So we're going to take our pig with all of his little bits and pieces still stuck on, and we're just going to pop him down into the green chocolate. Alright, so I've got my pig. I'm happy that I've tapped off all of the excess chocolate. I want to pop that crown straight on while he's still setting so that I can push it into the chocolate. Now I want to wait for that to completely dry before I can add on his snout and his eyebrows and the little details on the crown. So we'll just give that a couple of minutes to dry. Alright, so he's dry. So we're just going to add on his little details. So we've got two little snout lines. 1 and 2. I love the pigs, I think they're so cute. And we've got 2 little eyeballs. 1 and 2. And we'll just give his crown a little bit of detail. So I'm just going to put 1 chocolate jewels in the crown. Finally, we're just going to draw on some eyebrows. Try and get a nice steady position for this because you don't want to draw them on wrong. Let's take that toothpick and just slide it along. I've probably put this eye a little bit close to that crown for good eyebrow drawing. If you love our tutorials, make sure that you have subscribed to our channel. We upload several times a week. There's lots of great stuff coming out. That rounds up our Angry Birds Cake Pop series. I think you'll agree you've got everything you need there to make a tremendous little arrangement of Angry Birds Cake Pops for any Angry Birds fan. Thanks very much for watching.